what we do is we tweak all the bearings for the application.
Yeah.
Tweaking the ball size for every
Sorry.
for every ball we have like 4 bigger and 4 smaller balls.
Yeah.
So that means that it will press harder on the ball and on the axle.
I've never had trouble talking about it. This is the first time I've ever even thought of it.
I'm so immature.
This is so great. Yeah.
If a bearing fails, it's often because there is like too much pressure on the axle.
Mike and Anders from CeramicSpeed, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
I think the simple thing to do is to start off just about you guys. Like, who are you both, and how did you end up working at CeramicSpeed?
Yeah, so I'm first of all a huge bike nerd, huge, and I worked in different workshops. Have been a bike mechanic in shops for like 15 years or something.
Whoa.
Yeah, had my own shop at one point, and did all sort of stuff, different bike brands, all this sort of stuff, and then had my own shop, and then COVID hit. Yeah, and shut that down and got back to a like normal bike shop. And then have been by myself for a few years, and then a normal bike shop, and I needed something different. And then I applied for CeramicSpeed, and I got the job, and I started at customer service, did all of that, and then I went some traveling with Mike, and now I've been there for 2.5 years, and I'm in R&D now, some development, and do some project management.
It's cool to hear that there's that sort of progression through the company. Like you're not just stuck in the position you're in. Yeah,
I think CeramicSpeed does that quite a lot. So always making the employees, develop and stuff like that. So
yeah. And then Mike, like I reached out to you originally. I think it was like CeramicSpeed, mountain bikes. I'd always known them for road bikes. But how did we end up speaking? And what's your role at CeramicSpeed?
I guess we end up speaking because I'm also a bike nerd, and I found your podcast and I just got excited about it. And I think I saw Jordy on there and I'm a big fan of his, along with everyone else.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. So I think that's probably was the first connection. And I run the DMs. I'm like the admin on the CeramicSpeed X.
That's it. That's the only job.
Yeah, that's my only job. But no, to what I do with CeramicSpeed is focused on off-road. I started basically 3 years ago. The managing director contacted me just kind of right in the middle of the pandemic, or right at the end, near the end of the pandemic, and was looking for someone to help them off-road.
Yeah.
I was interested.
But there's a slight interesting CeramicSpeed life that you had as well, which I remember you mentioned before.
I'm definitely a bike for life guy. I was working in a shop maybe in the late 90s, and then I guess early 2000s started getting into racing a little bit, and then actually I fell in love with coaching. So my professional history is actually in coaching. Worked for the Canadian national team. I was a mountain bike coach leading up into Rio Olympics, a technical coach working with the XC riders, and then towards Tokyo as well.
Wow.
But I've done lots of different stuff in cycling for sure. It's my passion. I'm not going anywhere. I'll work in cycling in one way or another for the rest of my life for sure.
125 hours or around once a year. That's the recommended service interval for a Fox 38 like this one. Or if, like me, you're planning on spending some of the summer in the Porte du Soleil, then it could be a whole lot sooner. So to keep your Fox or Marzocchi suspension running silky smooth this year, then check out the Silverfish Service Centre. They only use genuine Fox parts when servicing, ensuring that your Fox warranty remains intact. Season 2 of the EMTB podcast is proudly supported by Silverfish, providing me with all the kit I need to survive a season here in the French Alps. Silverfish are also celebrating their 25th anniversary this year, supplying the UK with some of my favourite brands from the likes of Fox, Marzocchi, 100%, PTs, Michelin, Cushcore, and many more. Right, that's the end of the commercial break. Let's get back to the pod.
CeramicSpeed, as I said, I think of road cycling. That's where I associate the brand with. What on earth are you doing here in what I would consider the home of mountain biking in Europe? We're currently in Morzine, and you guys have been up in Le J. What's brought you guys here?
Yeah, I guess it goes back to when I started with CeramicSpeed and we wanted to focus more on off-road. I knew the brand because, through the national team, we had been purchasing bearings for racers getting ready for the games, or we always knew that some of the riders were purchasing wheel bearings or bottom brackets, etc. Even if it wasn't necessarily sponsor correct, they were hiding little bits here and there. So I knew there was like racers using the product. There was that like performance pedigree, which drew me to the brand, and that's kind of led into one of the reasons we're here now. We sell to various riders. I can't name all of them, but we're going tent to tent and helping folks out with optimizing their bikes. And then now we're starting to get to a position where we have some budget. Our managing director, Martin, is awesome. And he's he's always seen the light. His kids ride mountain bikes, and there's a lot of folks at headquarters who ride mountain bikes and have wanted to see this happen for a while. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, we have this identity, really strong road identity. And that's, I think, mostly what the sport side of the brand was built on, is the road identity. So I think just to get a bit more traction off-road, we're going to have to find kind of some new identity a little bit, and then maybe different focus on the products. But we definitely have the performance kind of pedigree. It's going to be a matter of letting folks know.
So who wants the difficult job of just explaining the history of CeramicSpeed? We're going to have to keep it concise because we could be here a while. But
I think you did.
Oh, me? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I understand inline skating is where it all began.
Cole's Notes, company's 20 years old. JC's the founder, Jacob. That's still where headquarters is. And if I'm not mistaken, he worked for SKF. Or was involved with SKF.
He worked for the R&D department, I think.
Yeah, and he was building his own hybrid bearings. He was working in the hybrid division.
What is SKF?
One of the biggest bearing companies in the world.
Okay, right.
And still are. They've got like distributors in like 180 countries or 160 distribution centers. Anyway, so he was working with SKF in the hybrid division and got really interested in hybrid bearings. Hybrid meaning ceramic steel mixed.
Okay.
And he built his own bearings and then wanted to set the world record for inline skating. So now when we go to Holstebro, where our headquarters is, that's like, he's a legend, I think, still there. He set this like 500 kilometers in 24 hours on inline skates in the local shopping center.
Whoa.
Yeah. I think it was a little bit less the previous, like a month before or something.
Yeah, he did like 2 world records.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, so it had this performance kind of like background, and then like any kind of battle-hardened, founder, I think he probably almost went out of business several times trying to start the company, just because he was so dead set on doing this. And then our managing director, Martin, came into the fold just over 10 years ago and focused on the cycling component. And then Guy Anders came into the industry side of things. So there's CeramicSpeed split into 2 entities with sport and industry.
Yeah.
And the cycling side of things has just been growing steadily ever since.
What element of the business would you say is what propelled it to success?
Sport.
Okay.
Yeah, sport side, just because I think the folks working in sport, and no offense to my industry colleagues, but I think we're just more competitive on a global scale. And industry, I mean, we're young. We're super young.
Yeah.
Whereas sport, we're kind of old, 20 years. Yeah.
So when I was trying to come up with questions for this conversation, and I was just thinking back to my history of bearings, I remembered when I was a teenager and I used to skate. So I was a skateboarder.
Oh, yeah.
Not very good one.
Sure.
But I was always into tech and always into buying like the best thing. And bearings were definitely an element of skateboarding that was like, I want to get the best bearings. I don't know what they are, but I'm looking at the cost of them. And I remember Ebike. Was it Ebike? Is that the rating?
Yeah, Ebike ratings.
And it was like an Ebike 9 or something like that. And I was like, I can't afford the 9, so I'm going to have to buy the 7.
Yeah.
And I knew nothing. I didn't know why, but they were just better.
Sure.
And they didn't make me any better at skating, I'm sure. But it's like, that's my history, and that's where I remember bearings coming from. So it's interesting to see now, like we're having this conversation, like, I don't know what it would be for me. Probably 25 years later.
Yeah.
I don't know if ceramic bearings would have been a thing back then. I'm not sure.
I don't know. No, probably not, because in sport they're pretty around 20 years old in sport. But that 608 bearing that's in the skate bearings is the same one that JC was putting in his, or same size and number of balls.
Okay.
Yeah, the 608 bearing. Yeah, but those ABEC 9s would have been in like Xerox machines in space and stuff, and 7s would have been. But ABEC rating, we'll talk about that another time.
So let's explain the purpose of a bearing,
Right.
its applications in the world of bikes, and also why ceramic. I don't know. Anders, do you want to take that one on?
Yeah, it's a huge discussion. But so when we say it's a hybrid ceramic bearing, it's the balls are made from silicon nitride, and the balls are incredibly hard and incredibly round, and they come in different grades, and the grades we use are a grade 3, and there is a grade 2, and that's only like NASA and space shuttles and stuff like that, and grade 1 doesn't really exist.
Can I just stop you? How many innuendos are there in your conversation normally regarding balls and how hard they are?
We're trying to like keep it low, but it's difficult sometimes.
It's
Sorry.
non-stop. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, we'll carry on.
So the grade 1 doesn't really exist. So we use the best grade that like normal people can buy.
Okay.
Anders has grade 1 balls.
Yeah. I get that impression from the moment I met him.
So why silicon nitride and ceramic balls are good in bearings is they are so round, so they just are more smooth.
Okay.
And they can take higher loads, so they won't get like dented under if you go over a big drop or something.
Yeah.
So the bearing itself is stronger. Other than that, we are focusing a lot of seals and grease and really optimizing the bearing for the application.
And then the thing that I understand, or at least the purpose of ceramic, is to increase performance, but also increase longevity. So could you tell me a little bit about how that works, how that happens in the world of ceramic?
Yeah, so by making the ball rounder, you're actually increasing the lifetime of the bearing and make it more easiest to spin.
And does that make it stronger as well to do that?
Yeah, because of the harder balls.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like if you have a not round ball and you're trying to roll it across the floor, it won't roll as far as a completely blown up ball or complete round ball. Yeah. That's essentially the same.
I'm honestly going to struggle to keep a straight face in this conversation. You guys are used to it.
I should interject because like I said, I'm on our DMs on Instagram all the time, and there's one common question that I get, or that comment, like thread of comment, is this hard balls.
Yeah.
When they roll in the race, they folks think that it usually pits the race, but it actually smooths the race.
Okay.
As it turns. So that's kind of one misconception, one thing that I think a lot of folks don't know, and we probably don't spend enough time explaining it to people because we just assume maybe people understand that, or I mean, our industry customers definitely understand that.
Now, when we were throwing ideas around about what to talk about, Mike, you mentioned space stuff. So perhaps we should go into a little bit more detail regarding the space stuff.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, I guess we were throwing around some of the different customers that we have. We do have aerospace customers. Really exciting one coming up right now, but yeah,
nice.
I actually can't talk about that.
And the main reason why hybrid ceramic bearings are good in space is when you go around the Earth, then on the side where it's dark, it's extremely cold, but on the other side, it's quite warm actually. So you get that expansion of metals, and the ceramic balls don't expand that much. So you get a more consistent bearing across an orbit.
Okay.
Yeah, also the weight too, right? The cost to bring a thing into space is quite high per gram.
Yeah.
So if they can reduce the weight, that's another request from our customers there, is if we can reduce the weight of the bearing, and if it can handle the G's during launch through stage 1 and stage 2, then they can the bearing can handle it.
Sure.
The big problem is probably on re-entry. So when the satellite comes back to Earth, usually it burns up on the way back, except for our balls.
Have you been watching the SpaceX launches? I mean,
Yeah.
just the most recent one, and one of the camera angles was on one of the flaps or whatever, and just to see it sort of burning up on re-entry was
It's
just
crazy.
outrageous.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so into that right now. Like, that's definitely high on my list of interests.
Yeah, super cool.
But yeah, now I understand the real bread and butter of the industry is heavy industry.
Butter specifically, actually, for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go into detail.
Yeah, so one of the big like dairy producers in Denmark were struggling with the bearings because they need to be like clean all the time.
Yeah.
And the pressure was like twice a day, 3 times a day.
Wow.
And most bearings just couldn't handle it.
Okay.
So hybrid ceramic bearings are a great component for
The irony is you would think that it would lubricate well and it would be like, it'd be a help, not a hindrance. So, okay, that's good to know. And then other areas as well, you mentioned cars, the motor racing.
Yeah, it's a competitive space to be in, just because there's so many suppliers there, and resale bearings is a competitive space. But
Okay.
We've definitely got lots of GT3 race car bearings in the house, and maybe I sent you pictures before of a few Porsche bearings we were upgrading and stuff.
Yeah.
And Le Mans cars, but that's for pleasure.
Okay.
So I can see that being a space that we get into more once we, kind of prove ourselves a bit more as a reliable big volume customer or provider. Sorry.
So let's talk about the fine tuning of bearings. So you've mentioned before microns, or at least I've heard the mention of microns being a measurement of bearings. Firstly, I want to try and get some idea as to what a micron even is in terms of size. I know like width of a human hair is often something that's mentioned in measurement, in very minute measurement. Is there any other way to
it's less than that.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know exactly how much, but it is less.
Wow.
For making the optimal bearing, you need to know the application for that bearing.
Right.
So let's say a reel hub, for example.
Or a motor, electric motor.
Yeah.
Okay.
What we do is we tweak all the bearings for the application.
Yeah.
Tweaking the ball size.
Sure.
So for every
Sorry.
for every ball
You
we
tweak
have,
it.
tweak it.
Okay.
For every ball we have like 4 bigger and 4 smaller balls.
Yeah.
In 2 micron increments.
Yeah.
So that means that if there is a lot of pressure or outside pressure for the bearing, it will press harder on the ball and on the axle.
I've never had trouble talking about it. This is the first time I've ever even thought of it.
I'm so immature.
This is so great. Yeah.
So if a bearing fails, it's often because there is like too much pressure on the axle.
I totally thought you were going to say that. Okay, so there's too much pressure on that. Sorry, go ahead.
So there's too much pressure on the
shaft.
Outer race. Okay. On the outer race, and then on the balls and the shaft.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that will damage the outer race and the inner race.
Okay.
So by making the balls slightly smaller, then we could like compensate for that outside pressure.
Wow. Okay.
So that takes into if it was a motor, and if it was a reel hub, then spoke tension and stuff like that comes into play. So
so are there greater cost implications in terms of the more refined the bearing is, or the tolerances, the more refined tolerances are, the more expensive they then become?
Yeah. The cost of the hybrid ball that we're providing the customer is extremely high.
Okay. Yeah.
So to get that level is usually most sport applications don't go to that level.
Yeah.
Just because maybe the customer that's asking them for the hybrid bearings are just saying, okay, yeah, we want the name ceramic, but we don't want to pay more than €10 for the bearing on OE level or whatever, because we just want to put the word on our product. And then then you get failures because you'll just end up with a kind of crappy product because it's quite labor intensive to make those high quality hybrid balls.
And then when we talk about the sort of manufacturing of it and the fine tuning,
Right.
how exactly does that happen?
In-house by hand.
By hand?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the guys in production are extremely talented. So we have different kind of plays in the bearings, and they can feel by hand what sort of play. And
Sorry.
It's,
by hand. Yeah.
yeah. And it's insane because if like one of the balls
We make a hand gesture too. Yeah.
are just a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
then they can feel that there's something wrong with the bearing, and
Yeah.
it's like
Okay.
2 micron.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I would never have guessed that was the process.
Sure.
So that's also one of the reasons why it has to be like in-house in Denmark. We can't outsource it
Wow.
because it is at that high quality.
Okay, let's go to bikes.
Sure.
Now, I know Geordie, as we've already mentioned. Geordie Cortez from Fox is a friend of the channel and also a fan of CeramicSpeed. Whether he can admit to that, I don't know.
I think he can. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. A fan, yeah. I don't know if he can admit to the use of the products.
I'll send him a message before this goes out.
Sure.
Otherwise, you won't see this. So your bearings are also used in suspension. Again, like that's an application that I've not really thought of from a bearing perspective.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
so manufacturers are seeing the benefits of using ceramic within the suspension as well.
Well, no, actually, we use a fully steel application for the suspension.
Okay.
Yeah, so we use an SLT bearing for that.
Solid loop technology.
Yeah. SLT bearings are just something that's pivoting.
Right.
So it's not doing a full rotation.
Yeah.
And if you had a standard race and grease, the bearing would push the grease away and then it would run dry after a few cycles, basically, which is what most frame manufacturers are experiencing, why they're getting warranties or they're just blowing through bearings so quickly.
Okay.
We've been working on that a lot with headsets and suspension bearings and frame bearings. And when I say suspension bearings, I'm just talking about the shock mount to the frame. Yeah.
Chains. I had a look on the website. Factory optimized chains.
Yeah.
They're 170 euros.
Yeah. We go deep in the wormhole.
What's going on there?
Efficiency. You want to say the process or the history even?
So when you get a new factory chain from, let's say, SRAM or Shimano or whatever, it's not a fast chain.
Okay.
So first of all, we got the factory grease that's on it, and it's a slow grease. And then it's not bedded in at all. So what we do, we first of all clean it, like strip it completely down.
Wow.
And then we have like elaborate system of pulleys, and we'll pull to the chain to like bed it in, but in a very specific way. And then we add some special wax. We got a PhD chemist that works on just our loops.
Lena.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we treat the chain with the wax, and then we put it again through the pulleys, and then wax again.
Whoa.
And then it's the fastest chain.
Yeah, it's labor intensive.
Yeah.
I think it was originally, the process was originally started for Quickstep quite a while ago. I don't know if it's called Quickstep back then. Anyway, with Tom Boonen, I remember Tom Boonen came into he's a road cyclist, by the way. He came into the tent and he was like, I was the first rider on the treated chain, and that was blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of opened my eyes that we were like racers first and like performance first and solving a problem for them. And then, but if I'm not mistaken, I think CeramicSpeed was kind of at the forefront of kind of the waxing and efficiency in the drivetrain through our cooperation with Friction Facts back then.
Sure. And would it be exclusively to the world of road cycling, or do you also in mountain biking as well?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, mountain bikers are, it's just less well known.
Okay.
There's pros buying stuff.
Can you quantify the difference that it really makes in a product like that? Is it very easy to show that?
Yeah, for sure. With lab data, I mean, that's the only way to show it, quantify it. I mean, we've got white papers piled up all over the place. We could probably keep the place warm all winter with all the white paper stuff. But
we got in R&D, we got like a huge lab with just test machines to test everything.
Okay.
Everything from like watts of chains to watts of bearings to pulley wheels to all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
Like you mentioned the SLT
Sure.
before. Before I went here, I set a test in motion for a headset bearing. We tested like 5 million cycles.
So is that going right now?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long will that be going for, do you think?
5 million cycles, then we have to take it apart and analyze it and see how it's doing. And
Well,
pretty
yeah,
sure.
you do that twice, and then you send the third one to the customer. You said,
Wow.
But same with like our pivot bearings. Well, we have a machine that's putting side load, all types of load. Anders could speak more on it, but I know that we go pretty deep.
Yeah, all of the test machines we are testing like real world conditions. So if we're gonna test a chain loop or a chain wax or whatever we're chaining, we add water, we add grease, we add change of gears just to be sure that we have the perfect test.
Butter?
We have tested with butter. We
Yeah.
have,
Oil. Remember there was an original efficiency test which had like
olive oil, all that stuff.
Well, as a matter of fact, I'll go back to my GCN days, and I was filming a GCN Plus documentary, and Hank was on a long distance cycle across the UK, and he ran out of chain oil. And we looked, it was early in the morning, no was open. The only place we could find was a grocery store. And I said to the guy I was filming with, I said, olive oil. Like that'll do. And so he literally virgin olive oil, poured it on the chain.
Sure.
And just as he was pouring it, he finished. And then there's a guy walking his dog, like 7 o'clock in the morning. Virgin olive oil? I was just like, yeah, it did the job.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't know how well it does the job, but it did the job.
In a lab, I think in the lab it tested better than some like commercially available wet lubes.
Is that right?
Yeah, but I mean, in reality, it would just roach your drivetrain because it would attract so much dirt.
Yeah.
Like said wet lubes.
Yes, we won't mention any names. Is there a taboo in racing around the subject of upgraded bearings, and how keen are riders and teams to actually admit to using CeramicSpeed?
I think it's a lot of folks view it as like an edge that they don't want to broadcast. Maybe because there's only so much they can do to the bike. I know, like if you've been around for a while, you know that guys are using different dampers. Maybe they're using different compounds of tires. And you've got racers. Yeah, the bearing is something that's really nice that they can sort of hide in there. So I wouldn't say it's taboo, but they don't broadcast it for sure.
Okay. And is that a bit annoying for the brand, would you say?
For us?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
It makes it harder to show that we're on bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
You walk into a bike shop and I've had this before where I'll walk in and someone's like, oh, CeramicSpeed is snake oil, blah, blah. And there's literally like posters on the walls and I'm like, he's fully upgraded. He's fully done. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's mad, isn't it? It's mad to be in a business that you really can't shout about.
Sure.
In that way.
Yeah. I mean, we have our oversized pulley wheels too, which I love, and I've got on my own mountain bike, but those things, yeah, you can see those, no problem.
We definitely need to get onto that because that's the bling side of
Sure.
CeramicSpeed. So what have I got here? Just how much of a difference can a ceramic bearing make in certain applications? And do you have any good examples over really long duration testing? I'm talking like ultra distance examples. The reason I mention that now is because currently Lowell Wilcox is attempting to beat Jenny Graham's round the world women's round the world record. Did she approach you for support for anything like that?
Wilcox? No. And she'd be, I think she's like a full, I shouldn't say, I don't know if she's full SRAM, but yeah, no, we haven't talked to her. No.
Okay, so Jenny's record is 124 days to cycle 18,400 miles, which is just under 30,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
Surely ceramic bearings are the way to go there, no?
Yeah, with lots of things. I mean, I'm sure she's optimizing tons of stuff. Yeah, I would be surprised if she hasn't, upgraded or at least optimized.
So back to the question of long duration testing. Have you got any? I mean, you mentioned obviously the previous example,
Sure.
But are there any other things we can talk about in that regard?
I mean, we've got all the lab data, but I think from the field, we can just say, like, I think we can openly say now Richie's on the same BB all season, and he even started the season briefly on a BB that was left over from last year because our shipment was late. Sorry, Richie. But they, Sean took a BB from one of last year's team bikes and put it on their bikes, and so they last season after season, and he's not the only.
Like Richie approved, then it's
yeah.
yeah.
I used him as an example, but there's lots of other riders that have had the same sort of experience.
So
like Canadale didn't change a single bottom bracket last year.
Wow.
The XC teams,
Is that right?
Yeah.
Back to Richie, would he be using it in bottom bracket and also all the other elements of the bearings on his bike?
Bottom bracket, yeah. Wheel bearings, yes. And then all the Yetis use kind of a different size bearings. So all the bearings we did have is SLT.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a couple that would need like approval from higher up in CeramicSpeed to make some custom bearings for Yeti.
Yeah, but we also always improving and expanding our line of bearings.
Right, let's get to the exciting stuff, a bit more of the bling, which is the OSPW, which for in layman's terms, the oversized pulley wheel system.
Sure.
Now, can we describe that, and like why does it look so bling as well?
Sure. You can get it in gold. That's cool.
Yeah.
The kind of like modifications to the drivetrain, I think they're starting to catch on a little bit in off-road. You're seeing lots of other smaller like Ratio Tech from where you're from. I think it's a great example. They're doing amazing like cool upgrades and functional upgrades. There's lots of people from the States who are doing some cool upgrades for color and et cetera. But we were definitely one of the first to come with this kind of tech.
Yeah.
Just like reducing chain articulation and putting higher quality bearings in the kind of lower part of the drivetrain. So I'd say we hold the flag for oversized. Yeah, oversized pulley wheels. We call it OSPW. Yeah.
Visually, they're like full bling.
Sure.
Like they look great. And I've always questioned sort of stock pulleys, and the ones that come on a derailleur, it doesn't take long for you to have to pull one out and spin it, and they're almost rigid.
Sure.
And yet they seem like such a flimsy kind of crappy part of the whole system.
Sure.
So why do the manufacturers not see value in trying to uprate that part of the derailleur?
I think they are. Like you see the new transmission drivetrains now are getting, and the new stuff that's come out on the road. It's all increased in size. And if you look even on the SRAM
T-type
product pages, it'll say like larger pulley wheels for efficiency. Period. Yeah. No science or what. Just yep. It's kind of like I think it's more accepted now. But regarding your question about why maybe some of the original equipment stuff is just more basic. I mean, the product managers have to hit a price point. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I guess it would push the price up for quite significantly, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure.
And what sort of pricing are we talking for one of those?
Well, from us, I mean, you're going to look at depending on the market, it's going to be around 500.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, with our bearings, etc.
Unless you're racing, is there a good reason to buy one?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
There we go. The reason I asked that is that I know with the T-type, for example, the cage does feel like it's become quite a sacrificial part of the system.
Yeah, good point.
It's how do I explain? Any T-type drivetrain I've used, it hasn't taken long before it started to feel like this thing's skipping, and it's usually because the cage has perhaps slightly gone out of alignment.
You did warranty before, so you can speak on that.
Yeah, so the new cage that we did is way stronger.
Okay.
And it's stronger, and it can like have a bit of give to it, so it can deflect anything that hits it.
Well, anything.
Anything.
Yeah. And then with the new T-type, as you can hear, I'm working R&D, so it's a lot of tech stuff. So we made a new system to clean out the bearings while riding EDR, active debris removal. So we have some fins on the system with some shims and stuff, dust covers, and it raised one of the most like grueling stage races, Cape Epic, like a 7-stage race. And the mechanics didn't do service on the pulley wheels once.
ADR, active debris removal.
Yep.
How does that work?
While it's spinning, it's pushing the debris away from the bearing.
Okay, so it's a
So it's
centrifugal
patented.
thing.
Yeah. It's like in R&D they were calling them grooves. Remover grooves is what was the working
I
term.
had
in
a
R&D.
push plow.
Yeah, that was very brief.
It didn't
stick
catch
around.
on. No.
Yeah, ADR. But
I can imagine the whiteboard of you all like,
yeah. But basically, as you're turning the pulley wheels, it's repelling debris away from the bearing. So we've got it patented, and we'll see where we decide to use it in the future.
Now, this is supposed to be an e-bike podcast, as much as I struggle sometimes to bring it back to e-bikes. So we've got to get to the unlikely topic of e-bikes and where ceramic bearings might benefit an e-bike system. So is there an application already where they're being used, or is this something that perhaps CeramicSpeed are looking to move into?
Well, yeah, both. Yes to both. We've had a few world champion e-bike XE world champions already using the products, like in wheel bearings and drivetrain efficiency upgrades. I think the SLT stuff that we're doing, sorry, I'll bring it back to the hybrid bearings in a second, but the SLT stuff is probably the most advantageous upgrade for all the full suspension e-bikes.
Okay.
Yeah, and those are just high quality stainless steel with the solid lubrication. Yeah, that's going to be a no-brainer.
Yeah,
just from maintenance standpoint and longevity. But for the hybrid stuff, like the high performance stuff, wheel bearings is a great application. Bike upgrades, and we'll see where things go in the motors. We're definitely having conversations with quite a few motor brands.
that's the big question I've got is around motors, because many people choose a motor based on its reliability.
Yep.
And is there a way in which ceramic bearings could improve the reliability of a motor?
Hybrid ceramic bearings can improve like almost anything.
Okay.
So definitely in motors as well. There is quite high torque in motors. So less deflection of the bearings means it lasts longer.
Yeah. And would it then, let's say if we incorporated ceramic bearings into the development of a motor system, could it have a significant effect on the cost of that motor system?
Yeah, because they're going to have to be high quality. I wouldn't bother with a low quality hybrid bearing.
Yeah.
Then you're better to deal with. We could probably make suggestions on what a high quality tolerance fully steel application or full steel bearing. We could make recommendations on that, but just it's in our name with CeramicSpeed.
Yeah,
we can also bring it to the next level with a high quality hybrid bearing. But yeah, it's going to cost. It's going to cost the motor brand, and that's we had a meeting. This is going back at least a year with a big motor brand, and they were having some bearing problems, and the product manager came back with like, oh well, why would we buy that? Because our bearing only costs us €1. And I was like, well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they really have, I feel for a lot of these product managers who, there's so many different departments in a lot of these big companies where they have to hit a target, they have to be within budget, but then someone else has some other, requests as far as like, what they're doing over in their department. And sometimes it's not so easy. It's maybe easier to deal with a smaller company like maybe a TQ or something.
And do you think that there's more of an application for it when we see the more race side of a motor? So like, for example, we've got Bosch and their race motor. Could there be an instance where you just have the standard version of a motor and then you have the ceramic bearing equipped version that is specifically for racing or for those that have got a bit more cash to splash?
Sure. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because like you said, cash to splash. I like that one. But no, I
stick
think,
on the whiteboard.
Yeah. No, because if the motor's going to be pushed to the extreme, it might have seals that maybe there's going to be more stresses on the motor, whether it be from some type of, not the motor, but just more stresses on it overall.
Yeah.
From all sorts of different challenges.
Yeah.
Then you're going to need something that can handle it.
So future, have we covered all the topics of where we think CeramicSpeed may be heading?
Oh no.
Is there anything else that we can talk about that's can be said? Or are you just going to give me lots of editing to do while I cut this out?
Yeah.
Now, from a CeramicSpeed, we are doing obviously bearings. So we also have like a digital department only doing like computer stuff.
Right.
And they're making sensors for that's mainly the industrial partners, industrial motors that can in real time measure how the bearing's doing.
Bearing brain.
Yeah. So it will measure frequency of vibration. It will listen and will measure temperature of the bearing.
Wow.
So it will send a message to the cloud and then to the engineer of the plant or whatever that this bearing is good, and then we have like, okay, now it's service is due in like a couple of weeks or something.
Wow.
So they can like plan for it and not have any unexpected breakdowns.
And is that something that's going to be applied to just heavy industry?
For now, yeah.
Yeah. That's insane. We are living in the future already, it feels like.
Yeah, you had a question though about where we'd go in the future. I think in the future I'm just throwing this out there, but I think we should focus on bringing like drivetrain longevity to e-bikes more, and that's like our specialty. So
I might say that the SLT bearings we spoke much about, it's a maintenance-free lifetime warranty bearing.
Okay.
So that's
yeah. You also never mentioned that the OSPW that we make, if someone smashes it, it's got a lifetime warranty.
Okay, I need one of those.
Yeah.
I think I need to get my hands on one of those.
E-bikers blow through cogs and chains so much.
Whoa, okay. Yeah, of course.
And we can give them tips on how to make that stuff last way longer.
Yeah.
And if they would just have some best practices regarding drivetrain and chain waxing, I know it sounds like arduous, but it's not. Like I wax my chain on my home e-bike.
Yeah.
And I just drip the stuff on, and then probably once a week I coat the chain and wax, and I ride with my kids to school on a big Bosch cargo line, and I just put it on there, and I haven't had to change a chain or cassette since I started riding around. So.
I think people riding e-bikes and riding with their chain dry is a very common thing.
Or just hosing it with wet lube, and then it just gets really beat up, and then they just totally roast cassettes and chains and chain rings and stuff. So
a lot of people don't know how to oil a chain.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. Isn't it?
Just put a lot on, and then just
That's it.
Yeah. So I think if folks would kind of look into and take care of their e-bike drivetrains a little more, they'd get just way more life out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, just better performance too.
Sure. I mean, the amount of pedaling you do on an e-bike in comparison with your mountain bike, well, in my case, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, we were talking about that kind of before we came in here. It's just like, if I lived here, I would be so stoked on just going and ripping a few laps.
Yeah.
And this morning I wanted to go for a ride, and we just couldn't fit it in for me to get up to the bike park and do a few laps and come back. And I was like, I just don't have time. But if I had had a good bike with me, I would have totally flown up there with a race motor and just done 2 laps, come back.
When I spoke to Aaron earlier, Aaron Gwynn, he was just like, I just did a few laps of the cross-country course.
Yeah.
And that was just on the e-bike, I think.
Yeah.
And like, he didn't even bother getting on the lift.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So yeah, there's gains to be had, I think, for your listeners with the drivetrain.
Yeah.
With keeping things tidy and adding just a high quality wax on there. That's probably it. With OEM level stuff like with Fox, and we've been doing some small bearings for them with positive results, but we can't say that we're going to have big business with Fox anytime soon. Yeah.
I think that we need to take a bit of a deeper dive into what's going on in the factory, because some of the stuff that you've spoken about is mind-bending to me. So it'd be very interesting to see how that happens. And I mean, it's something that happens behind the scenes, I would say. I've never seen it, put it that way.
Yeah, you're welcome to come up. We've got two great trail systems right beside the HQ.
Oh, right.
And so we're going on trails as often as we can. Wednesdays is like religious. There's group ride.
Yeah.
There's a road ride that goes out and a mountain bike ride that goes
gravel
out.
ride as well. Yeah.
Gravel ride as well now, yeah. So
nice.
All 3. And then the winter time, it's gravel exclusively. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to testing some of your products and providing some very unscientific feedback, which is what hopefully I will be doing soon, and presenting it to people and seeing what they think of it. And those of you with very deep pockets or are looking to go very fast might well benefit from it. So, yeah, thank you for coming. And the other thing I was going to say, you're going to be pretty busy this weekend at Leger World Cup?
Well, as we say back home, Hayes in the barn. Bikes are ready to rock, so we'll be just watching.
Yeah. No, I'll be joining you, I think. Looking forward to race day. Cool. Been a good chat, and I just about got through that. I apologise for my immaturity.
Oh, geez. I know, right?
When we had one time in the office where we actually had a difficult time not doing jokes was when doing Oversized on the SRAM systems. We have when you're mounting the SRAM system, the Oversized system, you have a D pin. So it's a whole meeting where I was looking at a project manager, and then you have to turn the D just a bit, and does it fit over the D? And we managed to have a professional meeting, but it was difficult.
I think I'd struggle. I'm not going to apply for a job with you guys anytime soon. I'll be gone pretty quick.
Yeah,
Right.
but I also liked how you said it with the compensating, because you could compensate with art balls.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Or something.
Yeah.
I can tell that we're 47 minutes in now.
Okay. Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
Anders, Mike, thank you very much for coming. And we'll talk again soon, I'm sure.
Cheers.
Cheers.